Welcome, grade 9. This is Arabi Masangkay, your English teacher for the day. We are going to talk about Quarter 3, Module 8. Our lesson for today is entitled Forming Decisions Based on Ideas Mentioned, or Identification of Pros and Cons. After going through this video lesson, you are expected to number 1, identify what decision is. Number 2, form decision based on ideas mentioned. Decision making is not difficult. It is the impact it has to us in our surroundings that makes it hard. There are many factors to consider in making decisions, like the pros and cons, our feelings, past experiences, relationships, and goals. As we grow older, decisions we face become bigger, so it is extremely important to learn how to do them right. Forming decision or decision making is the process of selecting a wise choice from the available options. It is the act of choosing between two or more courses of action. In forming decisions, we need to remember that decision is equal to problem plus options, plus the pros or the disadvantages, and cons the disadvantages. Available options may vary to solve a problem. Together, let us form a decision to solve the following environmental problems. Buying and selling of wildlife without the necessary permit and proper documentation is against the law, but there are still some citizens who are doing it. Look at this diagram. Problem is buying and selling of wildlife without the necessary permit and proper documentation. So we have two options here with the pros and cons of both options, and afterwards let us make decision based from these options, providing the pros and cons of the problem. So for option 1, we have stop buying and selling wildlife without permit. So the pros of this option is number 1, wildlife protection. Number 2, balanced ecosystem. But the cons or disadvantages, the loss of livelihood and reduction of scientific studies. So this is for option 1. For option 2, secretly buy and sell wildlife. So the pros is livelihood and number 2, aesthetic products creation. But the cons, extinction of wildlife and imprisonment. So let us take a look at the decision made based from the options given and the pros and cons of both options. So the decision was people should stop the illegal buying and selling of wildlife and look for a lawful source of income instead. So this is the decision made based from the problem given and based from the options and pros and cons of both options. So this decision is people should stop the illegal buying and selling of wildlife and look for local source of income instead. Number 2, environmental problem. Number 2, improper waste disposal in drainages leads to severe flooding in Metro Manila. Efforts have been made to collect them, but a pile of garbage can still be seen after some time because of the families living nearby. Take a look at this diagram for problem number 2. Problem number 2 is the improper waste disposal in drainages leads to severe flooding in Metro Manila. So again, we have options. We have two options again for this problem, and we have pros and cons of the given option. Then after that, we will have the final decision for the problem given. Now, for option 1, we have lessen throwing of waste in drainages. What are the pros and what are the cons of this option? Number 1, the ease in throwing waste. Number 2, a job for those who will take them out. And the cons, the continuous flooding, the bad impact on human health. Lessen only for option 1, while for option 2, totally stop throwing waste in drainages. The pros of this option 2 is the reduction of flood and save budget for the maintenance. While the cons of this option 2 are the added effort in proper waste disposal, then the time consumed in throwing garbage. So, what should be the decision? The law on proper waste disposal by giving fines and imprisonment sentence, relocation of people living near drainages to a safer place must be intensified, and a proper education on waste management must be given. Okay, always remember that decision is equal to problem plus options plus pros and cons, or the advantages and disadvantages. This ends our lesson for the day, and I hope that you have learned something from this video lesson. See you again on our next lesson. Thank you.